Welcome back to Profi Plays. We are back in my garage doing some more role playing when my kids are on vacation. So yeah, there's a little bit of a delay when I'm releasing these things because I'm also on vacation, which means I can kind of turn up my um, recording frequency a little bit to get some of these things hammered out. Like in any case, right? So we are picking up here with the story of uh, Sarwin the Sender, right? Who is our quest giver, right, for this set of adventures we are doing, and she is sending out right various adventuring parties to do things in order to help her find what happened, right, with her goddess or her god. I don't Unetra, whatever it was, god or goddess, I don't know. Um, deity of indeterminate gender. There we go. In any case, so last time the party she sent out did not do particularly well. So Sarwin did some research about basic fantasy role playing game and found that if you're sending out first level characters, that it's generally considered to be a good idea to send something like six or so out on an adventure. So sending two, it's probably just asking for a TPK. So, in order to um, ameliorate the odds of that happening again, uh, Sarwin said, I'm going to gather together a larger group. And so we now have this group here. So I rolled these up off screen. So we have, just to give you our cast of characters, and you also see that they have very generic tokens because I'm not going to invest in finding individual pictures for each of these characters that very well may not live for the next hour. Right. So instead, I have generic letters, right? So anybody named G with a G, there we go. So we have Galianar, we have Ziri. So Galianar is an elf magic user. Ziri, I forget what Ziri is. Ziri is a dwarf, I believe, fighter. Oh no, cleric, dwarf cleric. Kurdu is a dwarf fighter. Okay, I knew I had a dwarf fighter here somewhere. Sonard is a halfling thief. Sign is a human cleric. And Richie is a human fighter. So we have a mix of actually all four of the core races, as well as all four of the core um, classes as well. So the six of them are going to be sent on an adventure. We do not yet know what that adventure is. So we're going to take a minute, just so you know how I created these. You can see some of how character creation works. I used a method very much like what I used in episode 0 in creating the original two characters. Except here, I did use that. The quick character generation, I basically followed their process more or less exactly in that I did roll first for a set of stats rather than for each stat individually. And then I did also roll for their backgrounds and use the background to inform right what their class would be, which means the classes don't necessarily always make um I'm not going to say sense, but they don't necessarily they're not tactically chosen. I guess I'll put it that way. Right? So for example here you see that say our cleric here, he actually has higher intelligence than he has wisdom. I need to move this a little bit so you can actually see it. Right? So he has higher intelligence than wisdom, so technically that should lead him more toward becoming a magic user rather than a cleric, but his background was such that it made sense to me because he has a reputation of being a uh, benefactor to the poor. I think that makes more sense from a cleric's perspective, right? So I think that that led him down that particular path. It's also true that it seems like a lot of the roles that you make actually don't depend that much on your ability scores. So it's more that like, is that path open to you? And as long as you have at least nine on each of the first four abilities, that is strength, intelligence, wisdom, and dexterity, uh, you can choose any of the classes you wish. And so there we go. All right, so that's just some of how that creation happened. That also means that I also randomized the creation of their equipment as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move them off to the side. I will keep their tokens, but I don't need the character sheets on hand at the moment. Another thing we need to do in terms of, I guess, world building creation kind of stuff is we need to update our map a little bit because we have established here two more locations when we did our random events last time, and I did not yet add them right, to the map. I also want to add them to our location list as well. Okay, so these two locations that I think that I need to add. One of them, oh, let me pull this out too. I want my charts and tables for basic fantasy. I want my quick reference and also my terrain. Okay. Right, so a couple of things that I want to do. So one of the things that we established as a random event was that Sarwin was so ashamed, right, of some of the things that happened, in part because she's being confused for being a cult leader, which we mentioned in the strict sense may be true, but nonetheless, she decided that um, she needed to leave the town. Right, so she is no longer in town. She ran off, right, and is kind of. I said I think in the forest, but he's not necessarily in a forest. But she is at the very least not in the town anymore. So what I want to do is find out which direction she ran off. So I'm going to roll that, and then we're going to create a lair there for her faction. So three. So three, I like to do north as one. So one, two, three. So here is where we are. What kind of terrain does this have? I need to roll a d10 for that using my little loop method that I took from Shadow Dark. If I can find where my d10s are, there we are. So we left the hills. Four indicates it's still in the hills. Okay. So you go in the hills to the, I'm just going to arbitrarily say to the top. The top is north, so this is to the southeast. And where there are more hills, and now a lair. And I totally misjudged where that was. It also ends up looking like a frowny face, which is kind of fun. Right. Right, so Sarwin ran off to this area, which is what, 1508 or 9? 9. So 1509 is where she is now located. I can make a note here somewhere about that location. I'm just going to mark it here as the servant's lair, 1509. Another thing we do want to establish is we mentioned before that the Trallic raiders uh, they had to move because of changes in climate or something. So as a result, they now are also going to have a lair somewhat nearby. I'm just going to make a note here. Just okay, 1509 is the servant's lair. And then finally, I want to find out where the Trallic lair is as well. This is going to have an impact then on any random encounters we might have, in that I'm going to say it's fairly likely that those random encounters are going to be the particular faction that has a lair there, right? So I want to find out first which direction are they? They're direction four, so they're to the south. How far are they? One. So they actually have a lair here. And what is the? Okay, it's also in the hills. All right, so in the hills to the south of the town. So this is in 1409. This is going to be the Trallics lair. All right. And so we needed to do that little bit of world building to get everything caught up. Okay. And then I think now we are ready to find out what our new adventure is. So I've got my patience here I can set aside. Right. So what is our new adventure going to be? Let me pull out, see if I can find the appropriate sheet. It's the campaign log. That's what I want. Yep, there it is. So remember, we're doing a total of 5 adventures in this campaign. The first one didn't last very long. All right. So the second one here, let's hop into it. All right. So we need to find out what kind of quest is going to be given. Now, remember, we know who it is that's going to go on the quest. We have our set of 6. We also know who's giving the quest, so I don't need to roll for a quest giver. Oh, there it is. There's my quick reference. So quest giver is already determined, but I do need to roll for the quest type. So let's go ahead and roll for that. There's a D100 roll. Okay, there we are. Let me get my tens place die. So let's find out what our quest type is. It's 59. 59, it's transport goods, right? So we're all about we're all about delivery quests here, right? So we're going to transport goods. The giver is Sarwin. And we want to know what the reason is, right, for this, right? So for that, we roll on the main oracle, approach, intent, and theme. So the goal of this is 52. That is to politely 83 ward. So we're trying to politely ward clarity. Politely ward clarity. So the thing I'm thinking about here, right, it seems like this other village. We've not really done much with this desert village except point out that it exists. Honestly, that's the main thing that we know. Um, but I think that it makes sense to me that this must be right some kind of center, right, uh, for the druids as well, right? So I think here there may be some incursions from some other belief system. So what they are trying to do, they're trying to politely ward clarity. So they're sending um like I want to say they're sending like books and that kind of thing. They're sending religious tracts, right? These kinds of things to try to ward off, right, these other, I guess, heretical beliefs. So these beliefs that would be contradictory to those who are the servants of the Willow, right? So I think that that is ultimately what the goal is. Okay, so so again, this is going to be one that's just going to be transportation, right? So all right. So it's basically going to be hex crawl. We already know right where they're heading. They're going to try to go from this village to that village, and they're going to follow this road to do that. We know how long that would. Oh, we know how long that would take with our old crew. The new crew, we need to figure that out, don't we? Right. So when we look at the loading here, right? So I mean, the reality is, it's somebody with metal armor is probably going to be who it is that is the limiting factor here. So who has metal armor? Here's some with chainmail. How heavily loaded they are at the moment. They are heavily loaded, so it'd be 10 feet. Although we do have a number of people have animals, so we can probably offload them to get us to a 20. Because mules can carry a lot, let's be honest. All right, this chainmail person, yeah, they have a heavy enough load that they would also be heavily loaded, but they also have a mule, and they can offload that, so they're okay. Okay, so I think we can get it so that everybody is lightly loaded without a problem. Yes, yes, we can. So lightly loaded, so that would be a 20-foot pace uh, within an encounter, which means then in terms of this travel, remember it's like a trail, so they could normally travel 12 miles per day, but because it is not a paved road, they only travel two-thirds of that, so it'd be 8 miles a day. So since they are, I think they are still going to meet in this village, even if that is not where Sarwin is locating herself personally. So they are going to travel this path. Again, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be 24 miles here. So it's again going to take 3 days, right, for us to get there. All right. So let's pull out. Okay, I don't think I need this at the moment or this. I will need that one. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do our roll for whether there's any kind of scene transition. So our expectation here is that we're going to travel along this pathway, and everything will go swimmingly, right? Just the kind of standard random encounters, that kind of thing. This is what our expectation is, right, for this traveling scene. So now let's roll for the transition to find out if that is what actually happens. Now this is being rolled at a +5 now because we did fail the previous adventure. Okay, so 62 plus 5 would be a 67, which is a negative interruption. So remember, a negative interruption means that there is some kind of bad thing that's going to happen. Now, interruption indicates, I believe that we replace that scene with a completely different scene. Let me double check that in the gemulator, because the gemulator is more descriptive. Because we have three different types of changes that can be made outside of random events. That is a replacement, an alteration, and an interruption. Right, so let's see. An interruption is something occurs before the expected scene could start. Focus should be included in that interruption. All right. So this is before we can actually head out. Okay. So yes, we're going to be able to head out. That has not changed, right? So that has not changed. But what has changed is that we can't head out just yet. There is some kind of interruption. What is the focus of this interruption? It is 18. 18 indicates that it's something on our character list. All right, so let's pull up my character list here. Okay, my character list now. It's going to be Sarwin or Inetra. And I roll a d10. I'll treat that as a 10. So it's a 3. That's Inetra. So what kind of interruption, right, might Inetra provide? Okay, I'm just going to look at the example here that they give of an interruption. So, expected scene, meet friend in tavern, positive interruption, focus, location, home. Okay, the friend barges into your home. Okay, so that would happen before. So, Unetra needs to somehow interrupt us heading down the road. I mean, it makes sense to me, right, that now Unetra is missing. So, Unetra does not directly act on us. So, it is somebody else that is connected with Unetra. And this has to be something negative that occurs. I want an idea. Give me some inspiration here, Gemulator. Okay. Approach, intent, and theme. Approach is 36. Officially, 64. Replace, 26. Officially replace utility. Officially replace utility. Hmm. So what that makes it sound like to me is that we know that this town, wait, what is it? It's like uh Tranisme. We know that it's governed by a mayor, right? So if something official is happening, it makes sense the mayor is going to be involved with it. So I think that what is happening is the mayor is going to be replace utility, but does so in a negative way. And the thing that I'm imagining is that he is going to say that no, you can't actually take some of the stuff that you have. So he's in some way going to like tax us or something like that, and take away some of the equipment that we have and replace it with something less good. That's what I'm imagining. Right. So that's what I'm imagining is happening here. So I think that's fair. So right, so there's some kind of tax that he would be placing on us. And he says, but you know what? You can just give us your armor. We'll give you some worn armor, that kind of thing. So I think that's what's happening here. And I'm just going to rule this as a decrease in armor class of 1. Right, so that makes sense to me. Right, so who is it that's going to be affected? Now, obviously not Galanar. So I just have the others here in a pile. I'm just going to roll my d10 and treat it as a d5, divide by the 2 round up. 1. So Ziri. Ziri, and what is Ziri's armor like? Ziri was wearing leather armor, so I guess it's worn leather armor. So now rather than AC 13, it's AC 12. Leather armor, I'm just going to mark here as worn. All right. So it doesn't provide quite as much protection as it would otherwise have. Right, so that is the random event, right, that has occurred for us. All right, so as we are traveling, we know it's going to be a 3-day journey, so I'm going to go ahead and pull out my. Okay, there's all my people. I should probably put them in a marching order. That makes sense. To me, it makes sense to say, let's go fighters, clerics, thieves. Right. So I'm just going to put them from left to right in that order. So fighters would be Kordu. Uh, Ziri is a cleric. So I'm just going to classify them this way. Sonard is a thief, and then magic user will be at the very back. Sign is a cleric. Galianar is the magic user, and Richie is also a fighter. So this is the order in which they are traveling. Two fighters, two clerics, a thief, and a magic user. Walk into a tavern. That's the obvious thing. All right, so now let's play this out and see what happens. All right, so we're going to make my little calendar. All right, so this is from the previous adventure. All right, so again, it's going to be 3 days. Again, we have 6 periods during the day. M-A-E, N1, N2, N3. And there we are. So now we get to roll and see when we run into any kind of random encounters. Random encounters. There, I can speak if I try. All right, so let's go ahead and roll it. Remember, a 1 is a random encounter in this system. Right, so first thing I rolled was a 6. In the afternoon, another 6. Then in the evening, so evening of the first day, we have some kind of random encounter that occurs. Okay, so we move things off to the side, and we're going to find out what that random encounter is using our random charts. So we are in the hills. We know it's hills all the way. And so let's find out what kind of random encounter we have in the hills. It's random encounter number 5. So random encounter number 5, according to this, in the hills number 5, a lycanthrope, werewolf. Well, this may be a very short session. Well, let's find out. Let's find out. I've not actually uh, fought a werewolf before in the system. Maybe they're really weak. Maybe they're really weak, and that's normal. That's normal to have really weak werewolves. He was lying to himself. Oh, okay. Well, um, okay. So we are in the wilderness. So things that I need to figure out. Werewolves in human form have no distinguishing traits. They may be found anywhere humans are found. They are ferocious predators, equally willing to eat animal or human flesh. Hit dice is 4. Okay. So big question. Okay, and we have a number of them. We can roll 2d. It's 2d6 because we are in the wilderness. So how many are there? There are a total of 11. 11 werewolves. Well, that's fantastic. So I'm going to just go ahead and grab some of my random numbers here. It doesn't really matter what the numbers are, as long as I end up with 11 of them, we're good. No, I don't want the letter N. It's the number N. All right. So there's 6 of them. Number I, 7, 8, 9, 10, and here's the 11th one. Right, so we have 11 werewolves. Okay. Now, what do we know about these werewolves? Well, they have 4 hit dice apiece. Well, that's fantastic. Um, Armor class of 15. Now, there is a note here. For some reason, it has a dagger, like a footnote dagger, that kind of thing. I don't find out what that means in this book. That's next to its AC. Ah, okay. Some monsters are only able to be hit or damaged by silver or magical weapons. These are indicated either in words or with a dagger. Sorry. It's just too funny. It's just too funny. All right, so I guess the first thing I want to know, are we surprised by these werewolves? So I'm going to go ahead and give it a roll. Now, I think that I did this wrong before, in that I think that the intent is, right, for you to roll once and then check with each of your characters to see whether they're surprised based on their own range, right? So I just rolled this once, right? Five, nobody is surprised on a five, right? So our party is not surprised by this, which is fantastic because that means we actually get to act in the first round. Good. Now, when it comes to initiative, that is something that would actually be individual unless I have like identical characters, which would be the case in this case for the werewolves, right? So I can roll just one set for them and be good to go. Now, the next thing though that I need to check is okay, this is something, it's a process that you need to go through to, I guess, help. Uh, because it's really deadly. It's just a really deadly game. Let's be honest. Okay. Okay, so five, we're not going to be surprised even if it was an ambush. Now, we could do initiative rolls, but I also want to do first a morale check. So when we first encounter is a time to do a morale check. All right, so let's go ahead and check that. Now, it's a morale of eight for a werewolf. Let's see. We got rolled a seven. So yeah, so they are in fact willing to fight here. Right. Now, I also know, are they surprised? Because it's possible. They might be. No, they're definitely not surprised. Okay. Right. So both parties notice each other in a reasonable time. Now, because of where we are, I think that we'd actually notice each other at a fairly large distance. Right. So I think that means that do we have time to run away? Probably not, because like their movement, even in human form, is 40 feet. We can't outrun that. We just can't. We're carrying too much stuff. We can't outrun that. Even we do have some mounts, so I mean, like, sure, maybe the ponies will get away, but no, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Is really what it boils down to. Is that they are going to try to catch us and kill us. Now, I do need to check one thing, which is really, really important, and that is we know that one of oh, I didn't mention what the spells were. No, his previous character had that, wasn't it? Okay, let me check. If these were undead, I would feel a lot better because we have a couple clerics. Our magic user's spell is Hold Portal, which is really nice when you're inside and trying to hold a door shut, right? But that is not what's happening. Instead, we are outside where that is a basically useless spell. All right. So, yeah, this is good. This is fantastic. All right, let's go through. We are going to roll our initiatives. I'm going to roll a total of seven dice. So one of them will be for the werewolves, and the other six for our party. And I'll just go down the line. So I've got there are six dice. I need one more. Seven dice. Okay. Just rolled them, and I'm just going to assign them like so. These will have to get modified by dexterity. Oh, of course. Sorry. So going through these, Ziri has okay, no dex modifier for Kurdu. I'm just gonna look up to see who has dex modifiers. Um, Now Sonard has no dex modifier, but is a Sonard's our thief, but is a halfling, and halflings get plus one to initiative. So that six is actually a seven in Sonard's case. I think I know what Sonard's gonna do. All right. Um, Richie gets a plus one. That's this one. Okay, so Richie is at a six. Galianar, our magic user. Okay, so actually we don't have very many that have any kind of modifier on that at all. All right, so now do we believe that we could possibly negotiate with these werewolves? Maybe. Maybe. I'm not going to totally rule that out. So I think I am going to do a reaction roll because who knows, right? Maybe we can like talk them down a little bit. I want to say so. Kurdu, Sonard, both of them have reasonable charisma. Richie also has reasonable charisma. Sonard gets to act first out of everybody, so I think it makes sense, right, for Sonard to be the one to say, "All right, let's see if we can talk this out." Right? We are not very tasty, and we don't really have anything that you would find valuable, right? So let's just go our separate ways. We've got a +1. Okay, so that 6 + 1 comes to a 7. So I don't remember how the reaction rules work in this game yet, because I'm still learning the system. You get to see what it's like for somebody to be learning a system as they are playing it. Reaction rolls in here somewhere. Where's my reaction roll? Reaction roll. Almost. Thought I would have hit it by now. I think I should have, but I must have missed it. All right, back again. Because I saw the retainer rolls, which are very similar. There's encounter. Oh, there it is. Okay, good, good. 7 is unfavorable. It's unfavorable to interpret as they will attack if it is at all reasonable for them to do so. Seeing as they outnumber us almost 2 to 1 and are also more powerful than us, it makes sense for them to attack us. So I'm going to go ahead and make some notes here on their numbers. So we've got 27, 10, 23, 36, 26, 1, 13, 19, 3, 25, and 17. 3, 25, and 17. All right. And then I need to come up with hit points for each of them. Right. So they are 4 hit dice characters. Hit die is a d8. All right. First one. Oh, seriously? It's like 25. All right. So now we could just average this out because on average it's going to be like 18 or something like that. Instead, it looks like it's no, I'm wrong. The average is going to be in the 20s. Okay, goodness, professor. Okay, 9 and 7. Okay, there's a 16. Okay, this one's relatively low. There's only 10 hit points on that one. And then we've got 19 on that one. It's 24 on that one. 21 on that one. 21 on that one. 17 on that one. That's 21 on that one. 21 on that one. We rolled a little bit better than average, I would say. All right. So I'm going to need to figure out kind of what the general setup of this is. All right, move this out of the way. So I'm thinking then I'm going to imagine us as being kind of like on opposite sides of the field to start, right? With us kind of lined up in our marching order. So that means that our first target is certainly going to be in front, Kurdu. Right, so let's go ahead and act in order. Now, I think so. Here's my general approach that I'm going to take. That is, I want to have as few people as possible involved actually fighting, and everybody else trying to run as fast as they possibly can. Right, and then we just need to decide whether the um, werewolves are going to try to chase people down, and if they did so, whether they could actually catch the people that are actually running. Now, if they run all out in werewolf form, then yeah, they can definitely catch everybody. Right. So I guess that's one thing. Uh, I'm going to just make the assumption that they're already in werewolf form. They're here hunting. Right. That is actually what the goal is. All right. So let's go ahead and go one by one through them. So first, my thief. I think my thief says I'm in the back of the pack. Right. They're gonna have to get through 4 other people to get to me. I'm gonna take off. Right. It makes sense. So I think that that is really uh, what is it, Sonard, I believe was the name that I gave Lippy. Yes. Sonard says, I'm out. Right. So I think Sonard is going to try to run away. So that's the first action. The next action, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to us as the player. Right. And that would be our Richie. Richie. Actually, I want to take Sonard and sort Sonard out. Sonard's not here with us anymore. Right. He's not dead. He's just run away. Right. So Richie, what is Richie going to do? Now, knowing Richie, Richie is carrying all of his stuff, I believe, most likely. Like we can't actually do damage to them. We can't do damage to them. I think is an important thing to remember. So I think that Richie is going to be like, "I'm out. I'm out. It doesn't make any sense for me to hang around here and just die." Right. So Richie is going to be out as well. Right, running as fast as he can go, and hoping that he gets far enough away in the meantime. Uh, so all of the other werewolves are going to try and attack. Right. So how are they going to divide up? I mean, I think that I'm just going to kind of randomize who each of them is going to go after. Now, if these are at a dead run, Richie is heavily loaded, I believe. Richie is, yes, definitely heavily loaded and also wearing metal armor, so he can only, even at a run, he's only running 20 feet, so they could easily catch him and attack him if they wanted to. Right. Meanwhile, Sonard is going to be a little bit harder. Right. Sonard is one is lightly loaded and also only wearing leather armor, so he can run 30 feet instead. So that would be good for him. So no, he can run 60 feet. So if he's running, they cannot catch up to him and also attack. They just have to keep running after him. So I'm going to say that Sonard can actually get away, uh, because he's pure running. He doesn't care about actually facing them. So I'm going to say Sonard is in fact safe. Richie, not necessarily. So I'm just going to make a note here of kind of how far Richie has gotten from the battlefield, right, since he's running. So he's 20 feet away. All right. So now, who are they going to attack? Well, I mean, it makes sense to me since they so outnumber uh, all of us. They're going to divide roughly evenly between all of the folks we have. Which I mean, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't they do that? They obviously would do this. All right, so that's what they're going to do. So we've got a total of 11 here. Divide that by 4. So it's basically going to be 2 or 3 on each of them. Right, so I think that's what they're going to do. So they're going to go these two, 1 and 17, right, versus Galianar, 26, 25, and 36 will be versus Sign, 27, 10, and 13 against Kurdu. And then, who's the Z one? Forget the Z name. Ziri. Ziri's getting attacked by 3, 13, 23, and 19. Right, so let's go ahead and roll all of these attacks and see if anybody gets through this round of attacks. All right. I mean, hey, it's what it is. It's what it is. Okay. So I'm just gonna roll out my okay, so we're gonna go through these one at a time. Let's go from the front of the pack to the back. All right, so first then Kordu is getting attacked. He's at a +4, and he has an armor class of 16. So two of them bite at him but miss, right? The third one does, however, hit, right? And in terms of attack, I believe that these bites, if I remember right, it was like 2d6 or something like that. It was a real nasty bite. Werewolf. Oh no, it's under lycanthrope. I'll actually like have some kind of bookmark that I put in here. Okay, lycanthrope. There it is. A werewolf. It's a bite. It's 2d4. So 2d4 damage isn't terrible, I suppose. Still enough to kill Kurgan, as far as that goes. All right, so let's go ahead and pull out my d4. 2d4. He has 5 hit points. and he was damaged with 6. So Kurdu is dead. Goodbye, Kurdu. Thank you for your service. All right, Kurdu died. These three were totally untouched. Now, next one down the line would be Ziri. Let's see how Ziri is doing. Again, attacked by 3. 5 hit points for Ziri, armor class 12, and these are at +4. So we got 2 hits. All right, one is a miss. So that's going to be a total of 4d4 damage. Yeah, he's dead. The first bite does him in. This is bad. All right. Then our next one. Again, who was this? This was Sign, which is one of the clerics. If I can find. Where's Sign? There it is. Goodness. AC of 15 for Sign. And that was a natural 20. Yeah, that's every single one of these is going to hit. One of them is doing double damage. So that is he has 2 hit points. I'm not even gonna roll it. Not even gonna roll it. Sign is very dead. All right. And then finally we have the 2 that are attacking our poor magic user. A 1 and an 18. Well, the 18 is going to hit. Um okay, Ziri's dead. And Richie is running. Okay, yes. All right, so Glionar. Glionar has AC of 11, which, yeah, so the 18 was enough to hit. With that hit, how much damage is done? Well, let's find out. Is it at least 1 hit point? It is, of course, at least 1 hit point. It's going to be at least 2 hit points, so Glionar is also dead. Goodbye, Glionar. So that is what has happened. Now, Richie is also trying desperately, right, to run away. But he's going to get caught. He's going to get caught. Uh, I think Richie is going to be dead as well, honestly. I don't see how this could go any other way, honestly. Uh, I really don't. So yeah, it's tempting to just hand wave and declare, well, and Richie is dead as well, because I mean it's obvious this is going to be what happens here. Okay. Well, yeah, let's do that. Because I mean, even if okay, let's go. I'll roll it out. Let's roll it out. Let's do the proof. This does tell us how far Sonar is going to be able to get. I'm going to guess Sonar went for the ponies, right? So and is like grabbing the ponies and is going. Sonar, by the way, is a halfling and could ride one of these ponies in a reasonably, right? So I think it makes sense. Sonar is trying to like get all of the ponies and mules and everything organized. They can all travel at the same pace, and I think it's reasonable to say that Sonar can actually ride them. Right, so I think that's what's happening. And part of me wants to say he loots the bodies, but no, he's not going to because there are a bunch of werewolves. All right. So let's see what happens. Okay, that's for okay, yep. And the werewolves act first here. So that means they're going to roll a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, well, they're going to try to surround Richie so that they catch up with him and surround him. Now, sensibly, you can't have more than 8 around him just because of the fact that we start running into each other. Right, so he's completely surrounded by these. So he's going to be taking on the brunt of up to 8 attacks. He has 5 hit points. So each hit we know is going to at least 2 damage. So, and it's armor class 16. So there's 1 hit, there's 2 hits. So he's at least, okay, and that's out of 3 rolls. The 4th roll is a miss. 5th roll is a hit with double damage. So that means so far we've got 1, 2, okay, 1 die of damage, no, 2 dice of damage, 3 dice of damage, 7 dice of damage. Wait, no. 2, 4, 8 dice of damage. He's dead. Okay. So Richie also gets surrounded by werewolves, dies, and gets eaten. Okay. Now, I'm going to say that Sonar sensibly, while he may not be able to loot the bodies, he does at least have everybody's backpacks, which we unloaded onto our animals, right? So the werewolves get left behind, as now we have traveling by himself, Sonard, our thief halfling. Now there are going to be lots of XP from getting away from that one. Let me tell you that, right? Because these were each worth, I want to say 280 XP or something ridiculously high like that. Yeah, 280. So this one would be so XP here. It's 280 times. There were 11 of them. Yeah, that's going to be okay. So he's going to definitely get more than 1250. So adding it up, it'd be worth 3080 XP. Now, there is a rule in here. You're only allowed to level up one time uh, per adventure, right? So what that means then is that he can't get enough XP to go all the way up to third level. So he will max out at 24.99. So yeah. So he's going to be at 24.99, assuming that he survives the rest of this adventure. Right, but Sonard is by himself now. He has a bunch of equipment that are loaded on several mules and ponies with him. It feels upside down to me. That feels right for some reason. Okay. All right, so we made it through that. All right, so they weren't very far. Right, they were. Well, what is it? We're traveling a total of 8 miles a day. They'd probably done the entire. So they're 8 miles from the village. Got attacked by werewolves. Sonard was the only survivor from that. And because we are not by a village or anything, I don't think it makes logical sense for me to replace the others yet. All right, so let's find out what happens next. Nothing, nothing, nothing. So he does sleep through the night without a problem. He eats some rations. He's gonna eat somebody else's rations, sensibly. Um, why not? They're all dead. All right. So he has loads of rations available to him as he is traveling now. All right. Then next day. So they do some more traveling, morning, afternoon, evening, make it through the day without any problem. Have the night. So he's now I will say in the night, because he has to actually sleep, he would end up being surprised. He makes it through that day without any problems. Okay, if we can make it through the next 6 rolls without a random encounter, he will have actually succeeded at this adventure, which would be miraculous as far as that goes. So let's see. One, two. Okay, that's a two. He makes it through the day, which actually, what, 8, 60. I don't think he has to go through the night as well. I think that's enough to get him there. Because they assume 8 hours of travel time, right? So you're basically traveling morning, afternoon, and then setting up camp in the evening, and then camping overnight. So, I mean, you're basically traveling a total of 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 miles. He made it. He survived. Awesome. All right. So he delivers. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Somebody actually made it. We had to burn through a lot of characters, but somebody actually survived and made it there. Fantastic. So fantastic. Okay. Right. So he does actually deliver this literature here to this village. They are, of course, extremely thankful. I'm sure once Sarwin hears of this, that she will be thrilled as well, which is wonderful, which is absolutely wonderful as far as I am concerned. So now what we need to do some updating in terms of campaign logs and that kind of stuff. Right. So we're delivering religious literature, and this one succeeded, specifically in that Sonard survives. And I'm going to make another party, so I'll make 5 other characters that are going to join Sonard on the next adventure. I'll do that off screen again. But another thing we know is that there we go, Unetra. This thread list that is no longer relevant. The wheels thing that failed. All right. So the next thing we need to do then, a few things. So one, I need to level up Sonard. He got loads of XP, right? So he ended up maxing out because of running away. He's now level 2, which means I'm gonna have to double check what all that does for him. All right. And he's also got 2499 out of the 2500 he needs to level up to level 3. So I know one thing that happens is that he would get another roll of hit points. So another hit point. It's up to 3. Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Another thing that happens. Okay, I know that it's in here. There we are. Okay, as he levels up, some things that change. So class advancement tables for the thief. Yeah, we get another hit die. Saving throws. Saving throws do change at second level, right? So death ray he would succeed a little bit lower. So it'd just be an 8 now is all he needs. Um paralysis also lowers to an 8 for him. See, dragon breath lowers to a 12. And spells lowers to a 10. So that's one of the things that changes. Another thing that changes is that his thief abilities change as well. I think they all improve, actually, by various amounts. Right, so let's go ahead and change that as well. He didn't actually use any thief abilities at all. Um, though I would note, as I'm thinking about it now, he could have hidden. I mean, he was going to have to hide and run away anyway, but that would have been a way for him to escape. Oh wait, remove traps is actually 25, not 30, not 35. So remove traps goes up to 25, 35 for pickpockets, 30 for move silently. Uh, Climbing walls was 80, now it's 81. Hiding is now 15, although that really isn't relevant for a halfling, and listen is a 34 instead of 30. Okay, cool. Wonderful. Attack bonus. Does the attack bonus change? I don't think it does for a thief, but I can check that if I can find the right table. There's the attack bonus. No, it's the wrong table. Attack bonus table. Okay, so cleric and thief. No, 1 and 2 is still +1. Okay, cool. All right, so that does everything there. Now he can also like pick through people's stuff if he wishes. I'm going to rule, um, but I can handle that all off screen as he tries to take their best stuff. All right. Another thing we need to do, right? So we've got all of that. We also need to figure out what's happening in terms of random events. Right, so let me pull out, where's my random event page? Somewhere in all of this junk, I have a page where we record the random events that happen. There it is, campaign turn, that are going to happen between adventures. So remember, there are 4 random events that are going to occur. And this is based on the various global factions. So I need my faction list. There's my faction list. And then we're going to find out what kind of events happen, right, for each of these factions. So I also need to pull out this. Cool. So first, Which faction is going to be the first one up that gets some kind of event? 7. That means it's the University of Rensby. Oh, we haven't actually brought them in yet. So I'm going to go ahead and add them here. So they're going to get added a second time. Oh, I also want the trial creators added a second time as well. Just because they've already had events rolled. So that makes it more likely that they're going to show up again. All right, so what is going to happen here? This is not the correct sheet. Set that one aside. This is the correct sheet. So something is happening here to the University of Rensby. So pulling out the gemulator, what does the gemulator tell me is happening in terms of random events? I think I roll a d10 first. Yes, so roll the d10, gives me the general category. That's 3. So 3, it's something health related. So then I roll a d100. 44. So 44 indicates refuge rebuilds mental strength. Right, so I think that, so it says refuge rebuilds mental strength. This implies that mental strength was depleted at some point. So I'm thinking, like, this is a university, for one, right? And I think that that is something that is worth keeping in mind here. So, since it is a university, when mental strength gets depleted, what that tells me is they probably did some kind of research or something like that that ended up eliminating or driving away a significant part of their staff, right? So they're recovering from a failed experiment, right? So some kind of magical experiment, I suspect, or something like that. Maybe um, with some kind of artifact that they found, right? And that caused all kinds of problems. So now they have to recover from that. Okay, next I'm going to roll it again. This time I need to roll both a d4, which will tell me which of these two lists I look at, and then the d10. Okay, so it's a 3, 4. So I'm on this list. 4. So the Trallic Raiders show up again. So I'll write them down a third time. You max out at writing each entry 3 times. So this one, the Trallic Raiders, what are they doing? Well, general category is number 9. Category 9 is culture. So the Trallic Raiders are doing something culture related or impacted by something culture related. Ah, I forgot it's a plus 20. Okay, it's 18 plus 20 is 38. Hurtful exclusion weakens bond. So what I'm imagining here is that these raiders, they exist, say, in clans or something like that, right? And now they are weakened, right? So there is one of the clans, right? So one clan is in effect exiled, weakening the group as a whole. All right. Another event that is happening to who? It's group 1, 3. So it's, oh, this is the King's Revenue Service. They haven't appeared before. The King's Revenue Service. Oh, also on the location list, I'm going to add that village a second time, just because they were really important in this adventure. So what happens with the King's Revenue Service? It is something related to, I believe I believe number 1 is conflict, if I recall correctly. It's conflict. And then we roll plus 20, Professor, so it's a 34. A 34, violent change is threatened. So I'm thinking that the king Says the King's Revenue Service. The king is actually promising higher taxes. They'll be enforced by the KRS. Right, so that is the violent change that is going to be happening. So we're going to see more draconian tax collection happening throughout the kingdom. We haven't really interacted with them at all at this point. The last one, let's find out again which group it's going to be that's going to be affected. It's 3-9. That's a blank. So it's whatever group. So I get to choose. I'm going to make it Servants of the Willow. Because I do think of them as the main faction we're dealing with. This is actually then their third entry, so they're maxed out at this point. So we're going to find out what happens with them right now. 6, entertainment. And then on the entertainment list, what happens with the Servants of the Willow? Plus 20 professor, 33. 33, live entertainment at a public location. So I think this means this is not something that's like really earth-shattering or anything like that. So the Servants of the Willow, uh, I think that Sarwin is now, because of the success, right, of this last mission, she's feeling encouraged, right, and because of that, is going to be engaging in ritual dancing and the like in the village, right? So she's kind of keeping influence or keeping a connection, right, with this village. So just say dance in the village of true anisme. So that would finish that up. So at this point, before the next session, what I need to do is come up with 5 more characters that are going to be accompanying Sonard. Uh, which I mean, this is good because now we have at least one character that is going to be a level 2 instead of level 1, and that's a plus. He can also like pick through what other people have, and that could potentially help a little bit, maybe. Okay. So I think that that's a good place to call it right now. Uh, thank you for tuning in, and this is Profi signing off.